Office of Emergency Management, is going to give a quick demonstration of the, anybody in Nassau County who do have a superstorm such as Sandy is affected, and the food servings are atrocious in the past. This is such a great addition that we approved at our last meeting, and I asked them before we come down and give us a quick demonstration. We'll let the legislators that voted for that be able to taste it so they're comfortable with what we brought into the county, what Craig Kraft brought into the county, the Commissioner of the Office of Emergency Management. Mr. Delaney, would you please give us a quick demo?
I'll be very glad to do that. My apologies for not being in chamber when you first looked for me. I was just out, so I didn't hear. But anyway, what these are first off on the packaging, they look good. If they don't look good, they're not going to taste good perceptually to begin with. So I'm going to take the first one of these and just, you can pass it around, you can look at it. The contents are the food package itself.
Can you wait till you get on the mic? Go back to the mic.
I'm sorry, I'm not talking loud enough. But the contents of the package are the food itself in a packaging, a heater pack which is activated by a salt water packet that's in there, and then the heating tray. And what you do is very simply this.
The instructions are clearly indicated on the box on how to do it, so Mr. Delaney, you can get just the box.
So the salt water just activates the heating element itself here.
The salt water comes with the package,
Yep.
so you don't have to go under.
Yes, comes with utensils too. Make sure that distributors around pretty good here. Then I can take the food package, put it in here. And then it takes about 7 minutes to heat this up right now. All right. So if you want, I'll take it. I'll activate all three of them that I have right here.
I think one's been up.
One's not?
We don't want to waste that food, so
I have a little variety here too, but it's your call. One or one, two, or?
It's okay, legislators, all right.
Legislator Carey wants to give them one, and I'm going to have some.
Well, I have vegetarian chili too, in case anybody doesn't eat meat.
So you want to show our Facebook taste and then the different flavors again of we have the four that we have here. You see the steam coming up from it right now.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Cold water, just go in there. Yep. It just activates the chemical heating element that's in there. Yep.
While I'm making the demonstration, if I may ask, do you share with local shelters any supplies?
Tom, you're talking about answering you, Carey. Mr. Delaney. Mr. Delaney. Mr. Delaney. Tom.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be talking to us, not this lady, please. See,
I'm sorry.
a question from one of the legislators, and you said no to what he was saying, and
Well, he's busy doing his
not
thing.
to the legislator. Now, Carey,
Thank you, legislator.
I'm sorry.
Briefly, Tom, do you share any extra supplies you have with local shelters? Because I speak to local shelters, and sometimes they lack enough food to give out to people in need. Do you share any of the supplies you have with the
Well,
local shelters?
the intention of these is to be critical emergency supplies being paid for with Homeland Security grant funds. Having these on hand so that we can run our shelters in the event of a disaster, whether man-made or natural causes. Would we use these for the event of, let's say we have a fire, and so we're evacuating people, putting them into a shelter? That's kind of a disaster, isn't it? I think we'd use them there, sure. Just the same way we bring water to such an event right now, which is also critical emergency supplies. So yeah, the answer would be yes. This would help people in even smaller situations. And now we don't have to worry about where we're going to get food for people. We have it.
Mr. Delaney,
yeah.
Mike, over here, my question
sorry.
just as a follow-up to Legislator Sludge. Considering that this food will expire at some point, do you check to see what you have on hand? And I know that you do keep it in case of an emergency. But if it's getting close to the expiration date, is it possible that rather than discarding the food, that you would be able to send it to shelters and then get a new supply of the food for disasters? Or, I mean, can you give the food to shelters if you don't need to use it?
This is one of the very strategic positions that this vendor has provided us with. Previously, we would buy MREs, regular military MREs. People would say, you can't throw them away. But we didn't also want to serve those too much. County exec said, we're not giving our residents MREs. They don't look palatable. They don't look like this. You know, they look like MREs.
Sir,
So-
I hate to differ with you on that, because I actually lived in Long Beach, and we did get the MREs. And many of our residents did end up eating them, you know, because they had peanut butter and crackers and a whole bunch of other stuff. Well, it didn't look good. A lot of the people were hungry enough that they ate it, so.
We're going to try to do better, but here we go with this, how this is going to work. The vendor will rotate the stock for us prior to the expiration date, so that we do not have the responsibility of complying with FEMA regulations about how we are going to get rid of expiring food. Previously, we had earthquakes in Haiti, or we had typhoons in the Philippines, and we would ship food, expiring food there. And we were lucky enough to find shipping companies that would actually do this for us at no cost. But we're not going to have to worry about those concerns anymore. The vendor is going to handle our stock rotation.
And what will the vendor do with the food? Will they then maybe reach out to the shelters?
They work with charitable organizations, and they will be distributing them to those organizations, possibly for other disasters within the country. But the point is, it's compliant with what FEMA is asking us to do.
All right, thank you.
Well,
You know what the other meals are? Like,
yes, I do.
Legislator Rose said that there's something with rice in it that she had tasted.
I got a few different things. For on the non-kosher side, there's beef stroganoff, spaghetti and meatballs, beef chili and beans, beef stew, pasta parmesan with chicken, chicken cacciatore, vegetable lasagna, beef chili with beans. On the kosher side, there's vegetable chili, sweet and sour chicken, spaghetti and meatballs, cheese ravioli, cheese lasagna, and tortellini and marinara. So, a pretty good variety that we can obtain from the vendor.
Really is.
Right. So this is going to take this probably another maybe minute or two here. Should be hot enough then.
What's the average cost per meal?
It comes out to about $6 each one. I think if I'm not correct, something was in that area. I don't have that exact number in my head right now. But it's right, it's between $5 and $6 each.
Thank you.
Which is significantly better than when we were buying meals from a caterer.
County legislature.
There's not a question from the legislature. What we'll do is, once that's ready, he's going to come up and he's going to walk around. If anybody wants to taste, he has to walk. We don't want to hold up the meeting any further. You know, there's a lot of people here from Glencoe who want to get their feelings set for. So I'll turn it back over to the presiding officer. And Mr. Delaney, when it's ready, you'll just come up and we'll all taste it while we're listening to. There we go. Here we go. Turn it back over to the acting presiding officer.
Oh, let me, I forget what this is. The beef.
I don't know if you have Abraham, you have a one person first.
Thank you, Deputy President Colello. I'm very happy and honored I'm very happy and honored to bring up the next group, which I've worked with, my office has worked with for quite some time. And they were delayed a little bit today because they were actually being recognized by the county executive. Because I truly believe he sees their merit as well as their skill and their ability. The Delta Sigma Theta sorority has now been, this chapter has been in Nassau County for many, many years. And I can tell you, from their cleanups on Earth Day to their health fairs, they have been a very responsible, a well-coordinated extension of the county. They have been a tremendous asset. And it gives me great pleasure also to recognize that they are a chapter that is also very effective in many of our districts. I'm just mentioning to our staff that they are in Legislative Lodge's district. I know they're in Legislative Finals district, Legislative Birdmouth district, and there are countless others on the other side as well. And they have been extremely effective at doing what they do. And one of the things I also want to recognize is one of their members, we actually renamed our tennis courts at Reverend Arthur Mackey Park, which is located in Roosevelt, after Emily Moore. Emily, please stand up. She has been a part. That Emily does is that, especially now we're approaching the U.S. Open here in New York City, Emily does tennis instruction. She provides that service free, teaching young people, not just from the Roosevelt community, but surrounding communities, the characters and the principles of tennis. And some of the things she talks about in her tennis instruction is trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. And I just want to say that she's been doing this for quite some time in the Roosevelt area at that park. And just this past spring, I believe, we were able to announce in the naming of the courts after her to make sure that her long-standing legacy of providing this well good for the communities is remembered. So I do want to take this time, and I don't want to take too much time from the legislative meeting, just to present the Delta Sigma. Oh, because I know Sir Scott as well.
I definitely would not miss this.
But I wanted to present them with a certificate of recognition, which basically is just a big thank you, which I don't think most of the people in the county understand the tremendous amount of thanks we owe to the Delta Sigma Theta for their work that they have done just this past, whether it's on Martin Luther King Day, Earth Day, you name it, you call on them, they are there, health fairs. We have partnered with them on countless different things, and they have picked up the slack every step of the way. So I just want to again thank them for their work. I believe we have some of the ladies that are still here. Some may have had to depart after their meeting with the county executive. They actually also have put together stuff here in this chamber and making sure that youth are mentored as well. So they are a tremendous asset. And if I can ask the ladies to please stand up, and I don't know if any of them want to say anything as I come down.
Feels like I have a
Hello, ladies. How are you doing?
No, but I have your card. No, I don't. But when you find it, all right.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the acknowledgement.
And your name is?
My name is Kira Bryant. I am co-chair of the Social Action Committee for the Nassau Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We're here today because Delta Days is a concept that our sorority has put into place for many, many years. Every year we have Delta Days at the nation's capital in Washington DC. We also had Delta Days at the United Nations annually. This year we had Delta Days at the state capitol, and now we're here having Delta Day at the county legislature. We find ourselves now in a period of time when many of our citizens feel that their vote doesn't matter. So our goal is to foster political awareness and involvement in an effort to educate the public regarding how their vote is directly related to many of the aspects of their day-to-day lives. That's why we are in the process of organizing voter registration and education events. We'll be at 3 different National Night Out locations tomorrow. We'll be planning meet the candidate forums and debates for all the contested seats across Long Island. We will be hosting presidential and vice presidential debate watch parties, both in person and virtual. We're going to utilize Periscope for that. We'll be hosting a social action symposium in September, so to give community members the opportunity to learn about several social action issues that are facing the community. And we'll be organizing gun buyback programs. That was initially spearheaded from our meeting with Catherine Rice in DC this year, but also we had a wonderful meeting with Mr. Mangano, where we will be partnering to do more work in relation to that, as well as improving community police relations. So thank you very much for recognizing us here, giving us the time. Thank you.
I would invite any of the members of the NOMA, any members of your delegation that would like to join us.
We have 150 members in the chapter, so the likelihood is that one of our members is one of your constituents.
I need to tell you something, a little history lesson. This body that you're speaking before was created in 1995 as a result of a referendum. And 77% of the voting population in Nassau County voted for the creation of the Nassau County Legislature. So again, education is always key. I believe in it because I was a teacher in the city of New York for 26 years. And it's education that gets people off their butts and to do what they have to do. So I congratulate you and thank you for your efforts, and I wish I could join you down there, but I got a little tough. So I'm doing the best I can.
I apologize. It feels so awkward, Norma, with you there and all of us here. Would you like for us to come up there? The presiding officer has hurt her back, and she hasn't been able to participate fully in full motion, but I would be remiss if we didn't offer her the opportunity for us to move up there to indulge her so that we can come up there and she can join us individually. Okay. Is that okay, Norma?
It's up to you.
I would like that.
All right. See, I'm all for this, and that's a good thing. All right? And we're going to have to start sitting down and getting closer together. All right? I have to really truly I'm all for this kind of stuff. You gotta remember where I came from.
Hi, Andy.
How are you? You too, thanks.
Brad.
How are you?
Okay, thank you. Did you?
Congratulations on the
Okay, yeah. Come in Wednesday or Thursday morning. 9:30 like last
Deputy Presiding Officer Richard Nicolello. Alternate Deputy Presiding Officer Howard Copel. Legislator Sheila Bynum.
Here.
Legislator Carrie A. Salagas. Here. Legislator Denise Ford. Legislator Laura Curran.
Sorry about the
Legislator C. William Kayla III. Legislator Vincent Muscarella. Legislator Ellen Birnbaum.
Here.
Legislator Delia DeRicci Whitten.
Here.
Legislator James Kennedy. Legislator Laura Schaefer. Legislator Dennis Dunn. Legislator Judith Jacobs. Legislator Rosemarie Walker.
Here.
Legislator Don McKenzie.
Here.
Legislator Stephen Rhodes.
Present.
Minority Leader Kavan Abraham.
Here.
Presiding Officer Norman Gonzalez.
Present.
We have a quorum.
And Legislator Kennedy is with us as well.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll begin with the first hearing, the first item on the calendar, and Mr. Coulter, please call the hearing.
Item number, excuse me. Item number 1 on the calendar is a hearing on a proposal local law to add Title 83 to the miscellaneous laws of Nassau County in relation to a sustainable energy loan program.
Motion to open the hearing. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Bill. All those in favor of opening the hearing, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing is open. And we have Ms. Getz to dispute to us about this item, correct?
Well, I'm introducing David.
Okay, go ahead.
But for the record, Samantha Getz, Deputy County Attorney, Interim Director of Legislative Affairs. To speak on this item, we have David Raganetti from the County Attorney's Office.
Good afternoon, legislators.
Welcome, David.
David Ragnetti, Deputy County Attorney. Clerk item 266 proposes PACE financing in Nassau County. PACE financing is again property assessed clean energy financing. Legislation for PACE financing has been implemented throughout the nation. The two defining characteristics for such programs are loans for energy improvements on properties, for property owners, and loan repayments paid with taxes to the local municipalities. So this item will authorize a sustainable energy loan program in Nassau County pursuant to the state piece of legislation, which is enacted as Article 5L of the General Municipal Law. And the program administrator, Energy Improvement Corporation, has somebody here today who spoke earlier, Jim Lau, representing EIC.
Any questions of David? All right. David, who's going to explain the funding for this project, for this program?
Well, I can speak to any questions you have.
Well, so ask them what?
Presiding officer. So, where is the funding for this program coming from?
Well, and I will also ask Jim Lau to assist with some of the more intricate detail, but I can speak to EIC provides the funding. EIC is a local development corporation.
So just administering it?
Well, they administer and they provide the funding as well. The county doesn't loan. The county basically authorizes and elects EIC to be the administrator of the program. EIC is the entity that puts together the financing at a presumably low, affordable rate as an alternative for property owners to.
So any property owner, in other words, they where, let's say, some alternative energy projects are commercially financed with these leases and so forth, this would be an alternative to this?
That's correct.
And you said it was going to be low interest. What kind of low interest are we talking about?
I'm not familiar with the rate. I'll just ask that Jim Lau from EIC just speak to the specific rates that EIC offers.
Yeah, well, I've got a few more, I guess.
Thank you very much. Just as a quick reference point, because interest rates do fluctuate from time to time, but recently we financed between 5 and 20 years. A 5-year fixed interest rate is now about 4%, and for a 20-year loan, it's 5.25%. That's about the approximate range where it is right now.
So that's far better than the commercial rates that are available out there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we are, the LDC has its own bonding capacity, so that's where our sources of money comes from. We have a loan agreement with Bank of America to buy our bonds from us for the financings that we do.
So how's the program look? What percentage of the project is financeable? Are there any eligibility requirements?
We are the energy component of the project is 100% eligible, and there are some underwriting criteria that we have.
The energy component, you mean as opposed to installation, or
anything that's related to the installation, the actual technology itself, and the labor involved in putting together the energy piece, or the energy savings piece, or the energy generation piece of the project.
100%?
That could vary, that changes from project to project, but of that energy component, we could do about 100%.
Of the energy component?
Yeah, of the energy component.
You 100% of that?
Yeah.
And specific installers or anybody?
We throughout the past few years have collated a group of, let's say, people that we've worked with in the community. We give them contractor training. That's one of the advantages that we offer. It's not just that we put the loan package out there for people. We try to help the community developers, training them and teaching them about what to do and how to apply for it and how to get approval and what the energy standards are that are mandated by the NYSERDA and by the local utility.
Which homeowners are there eligibility requirements for homeowners?
Well, right now we do not offer this to individual homeowners because there is a national FHA issue. So we are right now limited to commercially owned properties and nonprofit organizations.
FHA would only involve properties that currently have mortgages.
Right. The FHFA has, one of our provisions, as with other states who have undertaken PACE financing as well, is to acquire lender consent, existing lender consent. And the FHFA has opposed that.
What properties that are
Excuse me, sir?
homeowners, well, let's say seniors, a senior might have paid off the mortgage.
Right, but
It's not for homeowners.
But it's
It's strictly for commercial, right?
Right,
At this
right.
point.
It's under discussion with them right now to hopefully within the year allow for residential properties to be financed.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments from the legislators? There being none, I have several people from the communities that would like to speak regarding this item. And I'll begin with Ronnie Mandra, is that correct? And don't, I believe, is it Mandra?
Ronnie Mandla, I'm CEO of Best Energy Power. We are considered one of the largest solar installer in what is called downstate, Westchester, New York City, Long Island. Based on experience, we went through that with customers in Westchester County, and I can tell you that this is the best financing offer ever was proposed to help business to install solar. Compared to residential, you can have maybe 10 residential homes, but one commercial solar installation actually makes up for those 10 small residential. It's the easiest way in terms of collateral because it doesn't interfere with the business owner day-to-day cash flow, and it's really a no-brainer how to get it. The collateral is only basically the value of the building. In the 13 years that I'm in this business, I have never seen anything similar to this that helps the commercial entity and also not-for-profit organization to get financing for solar without interfering with their day-to-day business. Suffolk have approved it, Westchester is going on for a while, and assuming New York City in the next few months is going to adopt it, I would really ask you to adopt that legislation because I think it really can help the local business owners. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Mandel. JP, and I don't know how to say that last name, it looks like Clayjohn, is it correct?
Said beautifully, JP Clayjohn, Green Logic Energy.
I was right.
I'm urging you to pass the PACE legislation. Renewable energy and energy efficient are good for Long Island businesses. It's also good for our environment. So by allowing PACE financing in Nassau County, more businesses will reduce their energy consumption or make their own energy, reducing the carbon footprint and the air pollution created in power plants, and making their businesses more competitive going forward, and making their properties more valuable. I urge you to vote in favor of the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sarah Aram?
Good afternoon. I'm before you today as a Nassau County resident and as a local engineering consultant in favor of PACE financing. As the Long Island coordinator for the Climate Smart Communities and Clean Energy Communities programs administered by NYSERDA and the DEC, my firm provides free support and technical assistance to municipalities across Long Island to help reduce energy consumption and to reinvest these savings to help make communities more resilient. The program goals are to help reduce energy consumption at the municipal and community level. One of the things we strive to do is to have the municipality lead by example. Some actions that have been implemented on Long Island include the integration of building management systems that offer property owners the ability to analyze and control their energy consumption of their building stock, the installation of energy-efficient boilers, windows, and air conditioning systems, as well as renewable installations such as solar panels, solar hot water, geothermal energy, and wind power generation. These measures have the potential to save property owners in Nassau County millions of dollars each year in energy costs. Energy-efficient buildings and those with renewable energy installations attract desirable tenants that will pay premium rents and at the same time, property owners can save money and reinvest it into their businesses and the local economy. Furthermore, energy efficiency upgrades often require skilled green-collar workers, which helps drive workforce development. Often, the only barrier to installing these technologies is funding. The Property Assessed Clean Energy Financing Program would provide low-interest loans to property owners throughout Nassau County and the 2 cities, 3 towns, and numerous villages located within its borders, thus addressing this hurdle. The process is fairly simple. The property owner opts to pay for energy improvements by authorizing Nassau County to add a special assessment on the property tax bill for that purpose, and depending on the types of improvements installed, the annual utility savings may even cover this tax assessment. I encourage the county to join the Energy Improvement Corporation and make PACE financing available to property owners throughout Nassau County and help keep Nassau County ahead of the curve when it comes to fostering energy efficiency initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Timothy Norton?
Hi, my name is Timothy Norton. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on PACE funding. I work with National Energy Connection, which is a renewable energy company that over here in Plainview, New York. Our parent company, we started off in Hawaii, and very strong there, where renewable energy, specifically solar, is a key form of their energy usage on the islands of Hawaii, throughout Hawaii. I live here and work here in Long Island, and we're very committed to this area. And I found that the PACE funding, this PACE program, is very active throughout the country. I recently went to Denver, Colorado for what's called a PACE Nation Conference. It was interesting to see how this has been administered throughout the country, specifically in California. I know that you also asked about the residential portion. I think that will be coming here too eventually. In California, they've done over $2 billion worth of rooftop solar for homeowners in California. But specifically to the commercial element of this, as many people have spoken about, is it will help boost this industry, get more renewable energy funding out there that is completely needed. It's the biggest hurdle that a property owner, or also keep in mind, it doesn't have to be just a business owner. I've spoken to many nonprofits, whether they be nursing centers, churches, and the alike, that would really like to be able to do renewable energy projects, upgrades, and this will give them this is the catalyst, this is what will make that happen for all of them. So what I like about it too is it's kind of community, it is community-based. It works for everybody, whether you're a small church, a big hospital, or the body shop down the street. Everybody can benefit from this type of funding. So I really, really urge the legislative body that move forward with this type of funding. I find that our company, National Energy Connection, as well as all the other companies here, strongly endorse, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Neil Lewis. Yay, no.
Thank you, presiding officer, and members of the legislature. It's really a great moment to be here. It's fun sometimes in this work to have stuck around long enough to see something that was proposed years earlier to finally find a way to get enacted. This item goes back about a decade or so. And fortunately, some action at the state level has made it much less complicated than it would have been. If you recall, Ed Mangano actually worked on a bill for this back when he was in the legislature. So how long ago was that? So there's been efforts to do this. The town of Avalon played a key role in proposing it for homeowners. And we've gone through this long process, but the state finally provided the funding to this organization that is now working with the county, and I really commend the county for bringing this forward. We're basically on sort of two tracks that are coming together in the sense that Suffolk County is basically acting at pretty much the same timeline. They enacted theirs, but they're still sort of working out some of the details. So some of you know that I run a project at the Sustainability Institute at Molloy College that we call the Long Island Clean Energy Leadership Task Force. We have a meeting planned for September 16th, and this will be one of the main topics at that meeting. So I'll make a point of sending an invite to all of you for that meeting. That's a Friday at 11 o'clock. And if any of you are interested in this and you want to learn more or send some of your staff to it and things like that, I want to encourage you to do that. I think most people have made a number of the good points. I'll just add that the premise, I think, is really solid, which is that if you run a local business and someone says to you, hey, you could save a lot of money on your energy bills if you invest in energy efficiency or if you put solar on the roof. And that business person says, well, that's great, but there's an out-of-pocket expense, and that out-of-pocket expense might hinder my business plan, which shows me getting loans and making investments and expanding in the future. This financing is over my pay grade, so I'm not going to try and explain it too well, but my understanding is that the way this is done is essentially, it's not on their books as a financing expense, it's in as a tax expense. And what makes good logical sense about that is it's kind of like a public improvement that's done near a home or near a building, and sometimes it's included in the taxes of that building. Well, same here. If the business owner says, I might want to sell my business in a few years, well, the payback stays with the building because the benefit stays with the building. You made the building more energy efficient, you reduced its need for electricity because it has solar on the roof. That building is now been invested in, but there is an expense to pay off that investment. And while that's being paid off, it stays with the building. So that gives great freedom to the business owner, and this bill is specifically for commercial, but also not for profit, but that's part of the commercial world. So it gives those people running businesses a lot more flexibility to take advantage of this program, and I think it's going to be great in the sense that it's local jobs.
Sir, your 3 minutes are up.
Okay. Like I said, you've heard the main points, so I don't need to repeat them. So thank you, and I'm very excited to see we're going to get this hopefully done today.
Neil, thank you so much. Okay, there being no other comments from the legislator or the public. Legislator Schaefer.
I'll be quick. I just wanted to thank everybody who came here today. We had, last week, we had a pretty extensive hearing. I'm chair of the Planning, Development, and Environment Committee. We had a pretty extensive hearing. All the legislators were very active and involved in asking questions. And it's certainly good to now have, a week later, a lot of support shown from different people people that are affected by this program, because it's very important to us, certainly. I hope for all the legislators here that we bring more energy efficient initiatives to the county and things that are going to help our residents to move in that direction. So thank you very much.
Okay, as I said, there being no other comments from the legislators or the public, I move to close the hearing. Motion to close the hearing, moved by legislator Walker, seconded by legislator Schaefer. Aye, all those in favor of closing the hearing signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is now closed. We're going to move to the second hearing. Mr. Pulitzer, please call the item. And thank you for those who attended this hearing today and voiced their approval of the project. Okay, okay, the second hearing.
Yes, item number 2 on the calendar is a hearing on a proposed local law to amend the local law to provide relief from fees charged by the various departments of county government to the victims of Hurricane Superstorm Sandy.
Motion to open the hearing, please.
So moved.
Moved by Steve Rhodes, seconded by Denise Ford, legislator Ford. Okay, all those in favor of opening the hearing, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is now open, and Samantha, yes?
We have incoming Director of Legislative Affairs, Francis Becker.
Thank you. Well, it's great to be back. I want to just thank the county executive for this wonderful opportunity to have a new role in government, a little different one than I had before. I look forward to working with my Republican colleagues and the presiding officer, Norma Gonzalez. Many of you are some of the finest people I know. And as far as the Democrats, wait a minute, I'm not finished. And as far as the Democrat side is concerned, I've developed many friendships with all of you, and some great working relationships, and hopefully together we can do some great things for Nassau County. So I'm really excited to be here today and to be working with you again. What's before you is the something we passed a while back. We all recall October 29th, 2012. when Sandy struck Long Island and impacted our residents, mostly from the South Shore, but actually throughout Long Island in different ways. And this, the county executive and on a bipartisan basis, this body voted for fee relief, and that is not to charge any of the necessary fees people may need to go to county departments to reconstruct their homes. And this was passed way back when unanimously, but somehow in 2013 it expired, and I can commend Legislator Kern for picking this up and realizing this and approaching the Republican majority, and in a bipartisan fashion have come together and want to reinstitute these fee reductions or elimination. And I was at the press conference earlier, presiding officer. You couldn't make it, but it was chaired by Legislator Rhodes, and Legislator Kern was there and spoke, and Legislator Ford spoke there, as well as other legislators. Legislator Bridgie Whitten was there, and maybe some others. So,
3 minutes are up. Mr. Beckton, 3 minutes are up.
What's that? My 3 minutes are up?
3 minutes are up.
You thought you got rid of me that easy, huh? But in any case, this legislation is before you again. I believe it's, if you others want to speak about it, as they did earlier, for the record. That's funny.
Any questions or comments, Mr. Greco, on the legislators? I don't have any legislative candidate, and I think Legislator Rhodes has something to say. Yes? No? Okay,
This is
I'm
true.
glad Legislative candidate.
Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Come forward, Mr. Beck, you're not sending, go ahead.
As a legislator in the Massapequas, in the Massapequa area, along the South Shore, we were hit terribly hard by Superstorm Sandy. I think back on that time when I can still remember my son was 7 months old, sitting in his extra saucer in 3 layers of clothes, and it's one of the only fond memories I have of that time period. And I know everyone has something to think back on then. They were impacted in some way, but along the South Shore of Long Island in Nassau County all the way, there was devastation, and this is the least that we can do. And I just want to thank Legislator Kern and Legislator Rhodes as well, and everyone for coming together. I hope, because this is absolutely a worthy thing to do, it's the least we can do, and I think that people will be very happy, and hopefully it'll help many, many people along the South Shore. Thank you.
Legislator Rhodes, I know, has something to say.
Oh, thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. And I just, I think for those of us that experienced Hurricane Sandy living on the South Shore, and I'm sure the South Shore legislators can attest to this fact. We've all been impacted. If you weren't impacted personally, we all have friends and family that were impacted by Hurricane Sandy. And I wasn't sitting on the legislature at the time that the initial fee waiver was passed, but I can't imagine that the legislature would have anticipated that families would still 3.5 years later be attempting to rebuilding their lives. And it's a testament perhaps to the inefficiency of government and the administration of New York Rising and FEMA and the number of problems that families are struggling with. But it's difficult from the standpoint as a legislator at the county level to try and figure out what to do to assist. And this seems to be a way that we can at least offer some relief. We can't fix the problems with FEMA, we can't fix the problems with New York Rising, which are federal and state programs, but at least we can come together to try and do something to help. And extending the waiver of sewer disconnection and reconnection permit fees, pre-demolition building inspections to the Department of Health, block indexing and redexing of instruments that are presented to the county clerk. Those fees probably total somewhere in the area of around $1,700 to $1,750 that we can save the average family that's still attempting to raise a home or attempting to make repairs. So I'm excited to be a sponsor of this legislation along with my colleague on the other side of the aisle, Legislator Kern. I want to thank her for obviously bringing this to our attention. And I've appreciated working together to try and do something to the benefit of the residents who are still struggling. So I appreciate that.
Legislator Kern.
Thank you very much. So thank you for the kind words, and I appreciate that we were able to take the ball and run with it together. You know, a lot of people, a lot of constituents call us, and it is frustrating because we're county. A lot of these problems are federal government and state government through FEMA and New York Rising. So at least we can do something to help make it a little easier now that they've gone through all of the bureaucratic red tape and the revolving door of caseworkers that they've been given. Now that they're finally in a position to raise their homes and do what they have to do, we can make it at least just a little bit easier for them. So I'm very appreciative that we can get this done today.
Just real quick, I remember the devastation way back when, and it was awful. I, at that time, represented Montauk Seaford. It was awful. I wanted to commend town of Hempstead Sanitation, where 24 hours a day, the cleanup was incredible. How quickly the different governmental bodies got together and did something right. Legislator Curran and Roach, you know, within 10 days ago, you found out about it, and here it is sitting before us. I want to thank the county executive for acting so quickly, Legislator Curran for bringing it to our attention, and Roach for picking up the ball and running with it. But this is something I think everybody's going to vote for. Thank you, Fran. As always, you did a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
And congratulations on the new position.
Thank you very much. I would also like, if you don't mind, I'd just compliment Samantha. I met her for the first day today, and I think she's done very well for everybody here. I look forward to, she's training me, which is kind of fun. Anyway, thank you.
We always knew they'd drag you back in, Fred.
Okay, are there any other comments from the legislators? Any public comment on this item? There being none, a motion to close the hearing. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Ford. All those in favor of closing the hearing, signify by saying aye. Aye.